I want to welcome you back to the Digital History Students channel, and today, as I promised, we are going to be discussing the effect of neocolonialism and the practical solution, because I want us to go practical. Neocolonialism has a multifaceted effect on Africa. It is long-term, short-term. Another one can argue that it is both direct and indirect. Another one can argue that it is both positive and negative. So I want to take the path of positive and negative. On a positive note, neocolonialism promotes or has promoted democracy. Neocolonial agencies like DGF, Democratic Government Facility, then we have Amnesty International, have been at the center of promotion of human rights and democracy in Uganda, to be particular, and even Africa at large. Most of the times, African governments cannot function without these watchdogs. African leaders are savages at times. They are brutal. So they need a watchdog at times. I want to emphasize the word at times. They need that kind of watchdog to enforce or to say enough is enough. Then two, we have increased foreign direct investment. The other time we were talking about foreign direct investment in a way that promotes neocolonialism. Yes, but the good thing is that because we are poor as Africans, we cannot command enough capital to do a meaningful investment. Therefore, we always require foreign investors. So most of the times African leaders go to the diaspora to look for foreign investors and then inquire over them. But with such a mechanism of neocolonialism, we can have that kind of foreign direct investment easily, because these people also have interests that they have to carry on in Africa. Direct foreign investment, one, increases capital inflow in the country, hence closing the investment gap in the country. So we get at least to the international standard when in terms of investment. Then next is that it also facilitates international trade through mechanisms such as AGOA. AGOA is a African Growth Opportunity Act. So this was an act of the US in which it tried to help Africans export commodities to the US without many tariffs or without many barriers. So that is one avenue. Next, we have closure of the technological gap. As we looked at it earlier, that Africans are kind of technologically behind. The West left us technologically. So what we do is we have to admit, and then through the importation of technology, we get to the international standards and then close that gap, that technological gap that is there. Then I want to cross over to the negative effects of neocolonialism. I know many people are waiting for this, and this is your darling part. Negative African resource is being exploited by the Europeans, by foreigners at the expense of Africans. Resources like fuel, resources like gold, Congolese gold, Congolese cobalt, Congolese copper. Last time I heard that there is a French company that struggled too much to get the majority shares in Ugandan oil or in Ugandan fuel, the one that was discovered in Burisa. So that kind of exploitation, very unfortunate. The Congolese gold, many of the beneficiaries are not Congolese, are not even Africans. So that kind of exploitation is what I'm talking about. Brain drain. Much of the people that are given scholarships by European or by foreign companies get to stay. They get to stay in these countries even after education. They elongate their stay in these countries. After studies, they opt to work in there. Instead of coming back to Africa to help and solve African problems, they decide to stay. So that is what we call brain drain. The African geniuses don't get a chance to deal with African problems, but to deal with European problems, with the Asian problems, with American problems. We have political instabilities. Neocolonialism also promotes political instabilities. Neocolonial powers finance, they fund political instabilities in Africa. Yes, they are at the apex of political coup d'etats. They are at the apex of insurgencies, of insurrections, of riots in Africa. They finance anti-government elements to topple African governments. Then we have the collapse of regional integrations. Our regional integrations that we make, like the East African Community or African Union, are formed with the intention of uniting Africa and enforcing development, peace, and good governance. But at the end, these people sabotage these kind of integrations. The East African Community, the first East African Community, collapsed because of that. Kenya, being an extremely capitalistic nation, was urged by capitalist states to drop out of the East African Community, arguing that Uganda and Tanzania were communists. See? So they funded Kenya so much to develop at the expense of other East African community countries. And equal development is one of the pillars for regional groupings. On the other hand, also, communist countries financed Tanzania, and they even urged Tanzania to drop out of the East African Community, arguing that Uganda and Kenya were purely capitalist. East Africa got caught in the scuffle between the two warring factions, and the East African Community could not stand because of them. Neocolonialism has also led to low industrialization in Africa. There are various reasons for that. One of them, I think, is the dependence on the Western manufacturing industries. Because Africans think that material can be produced in the West and then can reach them here in Africa at no time, they get reluctant to produce. I think that is laziness. We're going to discuss that later. But also, we have the fact that the Europeans cannot finance any meaningful industrialization in Africa. It is deliberate that Africans only stay as primary producers. We can only have husky removing industries, coffee processing industries, cotton processing, sugar cane processing. At most, we have beverage making industries, beer making industries, waraji making industry, wine. But this has been deliberate to make market for European processed or manufactured goods. Africa therefore remains a market open for European produced goods, but also a source of raw material. Africa only produces raw materials for the European manufacturing industries. We have dumping of poor quality commodities in Africa. These commodities, most of the times, they are out of date, expired, or even out of fashion. So they are dumped. To make it easy, they are poured in Africa for the African poor man to enjoy. But which kind of enjoyment is that? Africa is made a dump site of the West. Africa is made a dump site of Asia, China mostly. There is debilitation of African culture. By debilitation, I mean weakening, declining, of African culture. Because neocolonialism comes with cultural imperialism. So Western cultures or other cultures get to replace African culture, African dressing, African music, African eating, food and nutrition, African fashion. So at the end of it, we are losing identity as Africans. Then there is corruption. Corrupt African officials get to hide undeclared wealth in Western countries. The last victim was our speaker. She was accused of hiding wealth in one of the European countries there. They also hide a lot of money, and most of this money is unaccounted for. They swindle it here and take it to Western banking systems and keep it there. So you find that these people are of advantage to the African corrupt politicians. Then we have the accumulation of foreign debts by the Ugandan government. The Ugandan debt stands at more than 70 trillion as I talk now. It is even bigger than the annual budget. From the rumors I heard that in the budget of 2025-2026, 9 trillions are to be dedicated towards servicing, only servicing part of these debts, not paying debts, but servicing. So Africans are constantly accumulating a debt that we can never pay. Colonialism has also undermined the growth of African technology. By importing technology as we are pleased, we lose the touch of craftsmanship. We lose that touch of innovativeness. Our technology in African blacksmith, African potters who make pottery, all those ones have been replaced by imported commodities. So there is a decline in African technology. Laziness, I talked about this one, that Africans, we think we are dependent on the West. We cannot do anything. Many Africans sleep. Yeah? They sleep simply because they are expecting help, they are expecting assistance from the Western world. Neocolonialism has also promoted puppet leadership in Africa. Because can easily influence African elections, can easily influence regime change in Africa, they therefore get to plant the leaders they see that are suitable for their own good. So at the end of it, Africans have leaders that are highly influenced, they are informed, they are ordered by the West. They dance on the tunes of the West. With that, I want to start providing practical solution. The question is, what has been done, or what should be done? The answer to this is, one, is promote regional integrations. Because we said regional integrations are made to unite Africans. So let Africans unite to see development, to see prevalence of peace, to see human rights prevail in Africa. At the end, they'll have a common stand and they'll have a common voice to to steer development in Africa. 2 is that we should reform the education sector. We said the new colonialism is mainly anchored on the brain. What do people think? So when we reform the education sector and we decolonize the education sector, we shall therefore have decolonized the African mind. Let us have our own art. Let us have an Africanized syllabus that will cater for the needs of Africans instead of importing something blindly and following it. You know, the syllabus should be crafted according to the needs of the country. The old syllabus was crafted to fit European interests and to fit European needs or to fit European problems. So let us have, the good thing is that it's starting to happen with the lower secondary school curriculum. Things are changing. So I think that is a way to beating neocolonialism. Introduce poverty eradication programs. I think this is in practice. The government is trying. I won't say has done it, but the government is trying. We have Emyoga. We have a parish development model. We had Entandikwa one time. So all of these programs are intended to see that Africans live or Ugandans live poverty. But also, my appeal to you as my fellow Africans, when government brings projects like this, join them. Join them. Get the money. Do what is necessary. Don't get the money and eat it. You know, that is one of the problems with these projects. Many people are eating the money instead of using it for developmental issues. And also fund African medical research, such that as Africans we take interest in our own medicine, African medicine. Instead of waiting for the West to give us medicine, we can make our own herbal medicine. Where did it go? Also strengthening and joining the non-aligned movement. The non-aligned movement was created during Cold War. Members in the non-aligned movement did not either belong to the West or the East. By the West, I mean capitalism. East, I mean communism. So Africans decided to be in the middle. One of those two foreign philosophies can influence our politics, our religion, or anything. We should also revive the African culture. Because we said foreign cultures replace the African culture, we therefore need to revive our own culture, our own religion, our own art, our own food and nutrition. Also discourage borrowing. Yes, many people are discouraging borrowing, that is yes, but governments are not kowtowing. The governments are not agreeing. They continue to borrow money. The moment we control our borrowing, it shall mean that we can service and we can even pay part of this debt in time. But the more we fail, is the more our property is going to be taken. Adopt import substitution strategy. Import substitution strategy is to help us to replace imported commodities with locally made products. Some of the commodities that we get to import can easily be made here. Look at toothpicks. You mean Africans cannot make their own toothpick? But all the toothpicks made from China. Plates made from China. Some of the people even import sofa sets. So let us replace the imported commodities with the locally made products so as even our own industries thrive. Adopt African political philosophies. We can make our own political philosophies. You know, we cannot master the Western democracy the way The Western world does it. We cannot master capitalism. We cannot master communism. We cannot master things that have been imported. But we can make our own. Julius Nyerere tried to introduce or tried to make African socialism. He tried to create what we call Ujamaa, the Ujamaa system in Tanzania. So we should follow suit instead of clinging to things that we don't understand. Uganda subscribes to the multi-party dispensation, but do you think it is applied as it should be? In record, it's multi-partyism. When you get to look, it's single party rule. Also, we can nationalize foreign owned companies or entities, not in bad faith as the previous leader did, but in good faith. Some of these companies can be bought off, more so when they lack liquidity. So we can buy them and make them we can make them public entity. That brings us to the end of our discussion. Next topic of discussion shall be democracy. I know many of you are eager to listen to it, to watch it, but also continue to subscribe, continue to like, continue to comment on these videos. Also, make sure
ask questions.
Make sure you share and also ask questions on things you don't understand.